Welcome to the Mountain Magnolia Show, where your host, Mary Noble Braden, will introduce you to Swannanoa Valley's most interesting and most iconic individuals.
Hello to all you wonderful listeners out there. This is Mary Noble Braden at the Mountain Magnolia Radio Show. Thank you for listening to our show today. And I just want to remind everyone our focus here is to reveal the heart and soul of our beautiful community here in Western North Carolina. And how lucky we are to live in this beautiful place. I'd love to start our show out with a quote or just a Magnolia moment that has opened our hearts. And today the quote is, "Let the beauty of what you love be what you do." That's from Rumi. And I thought it was appropriate, that quote, because I've got somebody on our show today that I get to work with a lot in the real estate business. And so I want to welcome Kimi McBurney from Allied Home Inspection. Welcome, Kimi.
Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
I know. I'm so excited. I haven't had really anyone recently on the show in my business, because it's really easy to go out here and walk down the street and just interview folks. So I'm really excited about diving in, because there is so much to talk about home inspections, whether it be buying a home, selling a home, or just really checking up on your home.
Yeah, absolutely. The value in understanding your home, and maintaining it and just being intimately familiar, I think is paramount.
Yeah, it is. Well, we're going to dive into that. Before we do, though, tell the audience about yourself. How did you get to Western North Carolina?
Well, how much time do you have?
I mean, right? We have an hour, right?
Fair. Yeah. So again, my name is Kimi McBurney. So my husband and I own Allied Home Inspection, but it's been quite the journey. So I was actually born and raised in Southern California. Spent most of my life so far there, about 30 years. I was a fifth generation contractor. Wow. So born and raised, that's all I've ever done is construction. So, my dad raised us there, but actually my dad's from South Carolina. He was born in Sumter, and then he most recently lived in Charleston. So my parents moved back probably 15 years ago now, but we've always had family there and traveled back and forth. So actually my dad had moved a construction company back there, a construction company based out of Charleston, South Carolina. So he basically offered me a job because he knew I didn't want to be in Southern California forever. And he's like, "Well, why don't you come back to the Carolinas with me?" And I was like, "Sounds fantastic." I didn't want to be in Southern California forever. So I came back, and it's funny. He basically said that I had to live in the Carolinas, which wasn't, twist my arm. I was happy to be there. But it didn't matter where, because we traveled all over for work. So he said, basically pick where you want to live in the Carolinas. And so I don't like humidity that much. So
okay.
It fairly narrows down my options. So really kind of picked Asheville off a map 10 years ago now.
Wow.
And we moved here. And so we've been here for the last 10 years.
Going strong.
No reason to leave. Actually, last year we had kind of done some exploring, to see if we did want to move somewhere else. And we found our way right back here. So it's a testament to Western North Carolina for sure.
Well, you've done an amazing job. You really get out there and make mountains move. So on that note, though,
yes.
What inspired you to start Allied Home Inspection?
Yeah, great question. So kind of part of the same story, right? So when we first moved to Western North Carolina, we moved to Fairview. We were renting there, which I love Fairview. It's so cool. But we bought our first home in Candler, North Carolina in 2017. And as part of the home buying process, as you know, we got a home inspection. So really, honestly, that was actually kind of our first introduction to the profession, because until you buy a home, there's really not an introduction to that process. So we're really intrigued by the whole process and loved learning about the home inspections and educating home buyers.
You're like, I can do this.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to do that. Looks easy. And it's such a natural progression from construction, right? A lot of people who are previous contractors or current contractors kind of, go to to the profession of home inspection. So my husband and I just saw it as such an opportunity to be entrepreneurs and have our own business and do our own thing. So yeah, that's really kind of where we got started. So my husband was licensed first as a solo inspector, and today we now have 6 licensed inspectors with us.
That's amazing. So you moved from California to North Carolina thinking you were going to be a contractor.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Technically.
I mean, you are, but
I really thought I'd do it forever.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very blessed and thankful that it's kind of taken this turn, and I really love what we're doing today.
I love it. All right. So the next question, and I can answer some of this question too, but what sets your inspection service apart from others in the area?
Yeah, great question. So I think first and foremost, that having that common denominator of being a general contractor, having that license, I think is important, because a lot of times inspectors will just raise the red flag and refer you to other professionals. But if we can kind of go above and beyond and be that missing link and give additional information, I think is really important.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like we've really built our company with attention to culture and detail, making sure our inspectors are personable and really go above and beyond for our clients, because beyond identifying issues with their home, really being able to deliver that information, communicate with clients, and make sure they're well prepared for whatever challenge is before them, I think is really important.
Well, I will say I'm kind of set in my ways, and I used to have my way. And I recently, like at the last 3 months, have been using y'all. Mm-hmm. And I mean, y'all's inspectors and your admin. I love, remind me her name.
Justine. She's in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes. Yeah. Amazing. And just, we have to problem solve as realtors, and then as home inspectors, or a seller, or a buyer, or just someone who's wanting to really look at what's going on with their home. It's about problem solving. Mm-hmm. And you guys have just stepped up in every way. So thank you for being assisting in the problem solving.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of to your point of, what sets us apart is really we've evolved over the years as well. So like you said, having full-time operations, somebody to support our team who's always available for problem solving is key. And then also evolving, right? Last year we launched our septic division. We also now have a commercial division. So doing anything we can to meet our clients and agents' needs, to best serve their end goal is really our goal.
That's good. So let's dive into that a little bit, where if I wanted to get a home inspection, mm-hmm. residential, commercial, buyer, seller, or just homeowner. Mm-hmm. So talk about the different services that you guys provide for people that have their house maybe under contract, but also for people or building, a commercial mm-hmm. building, for people that might just want to check up on their home.
Yeah, great question. And so I'm going to put the caveat that what I'm going to say is going to be profusely confusing to most people. Yeah. But I always encourage people, take the information for what it's worth, take what you need, leave the rest. Give us a call. We're always happy to walk you through for your specific property and your specific needs. But like you said, I feel like it's really about understanding your property, right? Mm-hmm. Real estate's the single most largest investment most people will make in their entire lives, right? So just making sure you really understand what you're getting into, or what you are in, right? Maybe you bought a home and didn't quite understand, or didn't have an inspection for some reason. So really just wanting people to understand, and really it's as simple as that, as long as it's a structure, like you said, residential or commercial, we do it all, top to bottom, front to back, side to side, roof to foundation. I mean, really thorough. So basically anything that's accessible in the home. And we always have that caveat because, in real estate, there's sometimes obstacles to that, but including all major systems, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. And then, like I said, evolving over the years to include any ancillary services that are applicable: pest, radon, septic, sewer, wells, water testing.
All of it.
It's funny.
All the things you need to take care of.
All the things, which, like I said, that list sounded really overwhelming, but I promise you, we kind of handhold through the process. And it's funny, we're kind of talking about where people are from, et cetera. And one of my favorite intake questions is to ask people where they're from, if it's obvious that they're relocating, because then I can kind of cater the conversation to what they know, right? If you're from Florida or from Charleston, low-lying, low country, you're not familiar with septic systems because they're not as common there, because you can't have it because the ground is saturated, right? So kind of walking people through that is always fun. Or, bonding with my fellow California transplants and kind of speaking to the differences is always cool.
Or people coming here. I know I came from Alabama 20 years ago, and here, the different heating systems here.
Sure.
Yeah. Gas, electric heat, propane wall heat. Now it's not
oil furnaces. Like the list goes on. Yeah.
So I'm sure there is some type of learning curve when it comes to moving to different places, because I don't know if anybody has all the different types of heat that we have here.
Yeah, I don't think maybe in the Northeast, where it's cooler, but exactly like differences like that. Or even if you're from the Northeast, maybe we have different cooling systems. They may be more familiar with various heating systems. But then again, like pest, they have different pest concerns.
Oh, yeah.
Radon levels vary throughout the state, throughout the country, really. So really, even where it doesn't matter where you're moving from, even in Western North Carolina, if you're moving from city limits, you probably had city sewer, city water. Now you're out in the country and you have a well and a septic system and you're like, what the heck is this?
Oh, yeah.
What do I need to know? Especially we all went through the storm. A lot of people became intimately familiar with their water source, their water quality, stuff like that. So really cool.
And you guys, y'all can do that as well. I know we talked about well a little bit, but you can do water quality test.
Yeah, so we do well inspections, which is the mechanics of the well, so the actual physical parts and pieces, and then water quality. So like we mentioned, like during the storm, that was a big issue that not a lot of people were familiar with because the city water source was compromised and well water and stuff like that. So really important to have your water quality tested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a well now, and I have a septic. I used to just live right down the street and have city water and city well. But we did. A lot of people drank our water for a while.
I was going to say pros and cons to both. Yeah, we were actually in the home buying process during the storm.
Oh, really?
Speaking realtor language, due diligence was ending that Saturday. So that was fun. But everyone was agreeable and it was fine. But so, yeah, we were intentionally buying a home with well water, with sewer, and now we have a whole house generator. So, right, everyone is now preparing a little bit differently.
Now you can, if there's another storm.
Everybody come on over.
Yeah. You can make sure everyone's happy.
Yes.
Okay. So a couple more questions. Let's see. Is there anything sellers can do, like to prepare for an inspection and avoid surprises?
Absolutely. So my favorite saying is, why wouldn't you want to see the answers to the test before you take it? 99% of the time, if not 100% of the time, the buyer is going to get a home inspection. You can order that same home inspection before you put your house on the market and really set yourself up for success, right? Understanding what they're going to see, also giving yourself the opportunity to possibly address some of those things. And if you don't have the means to address it, so if you don't have funds or the willingness or capability to make those repairs, you can be upfront about those, right? Price your home accordingly, whatnot. So I absolutely, yes, I definitely recommend pre-listing inspections to set yourself up.
With the market the way it is, it feels like it's different every 3 months, but right now it's softening a little bit. And so you might want to get a home inspection before you list your house so that there are no surprises.
Definitely. I'm sure you're seeing the same data, but exactly, houses are staying on the market a little bit longer. And then we also, on our website, I actually just released a blog, I think it was last month, and there's a checklist for sellers because there are some items that may be more intensive. Maybe you can't replace the entire HVAC system, but there's some low-hanging fruit, right? You can replace your filters, you can clean your gutters, you can have your service appointments done. So some of those easy fixes that sellers can address to set themselves up for success.
Yeah, so that won't be something that the buyers are like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and those cosmetic defects can really detract to the buyer's experience, from the buyer's experience, right? They may see a light bulb that's out, and what does their brain say? oh my gosh, the whole electrical is bad. I got to replace everything. No, it's just the light bulb. But let's not let it go that way. Let's get the low hanging fruit so we can set ourselves up for success.
And I have those clients that like they fix everything before they list it, and then I have those that are like, oh, whatever. Yeah.
Right, and there's strategies to both, right? Everyone's got a different situation, but why not be informed and make that decision for yourself?
No, for sure. So, what's the most unusual thing you've come across in your years of being a home inspector?
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. I mean, it's like what category we were talking about. My brain just for some reason went to like things we find in crawl spaces. One time there was a deer in a crawl space.
Oh my gosh.
It was not a very well encapsulated crawl space, so the deer could easily come and go. It was very sweet. Lots of animals, lots of bugs, lots of snakes.
Lots of snakes.
If anyone's ever like, I want to be a home inspector, it's one of my first questions. How do you feel about snakes and spiders and creepy crawly things?
Yeah.
My husband also has a crazy story. He was on the wrong end of a 12-gauge shotgun. It was hung in a closet facing outward. He was fine. I don't know if it was supposed to like mimic a booby trap or whatnot. That was pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, but luckily he was fine.
I know, I'm being a realtor. A lot of times we're standing in crawl spaces,
Yeah.
and I saw a snake, even a crawl space that we're standing in, and it was very clean. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to be down here anymore. So, not that I'm very scared of them. I'm just going to stay away from them.
Sure, that's fair. I mean, and they're generally not aggressive, right? If you leave them be, they'll let you be. But yeah, I do have one cool video. My husband got it, which he does not mind snakes at all. But it was just the perfect angle. The snake came around like a corner and like stuck its little tongue out, and just people on the internet just loved it. They're like, nope,
like,
no, thank you.
No.
Just another great reason to hire your trusted home inspector. We'll go deal with all the snakes and everything for you.
y'all can. Well, that's my next question. What was one inspection you'll never forget? And you already told me that.
Yeah, those are some good ones.
How do you feel like the home inspection industry has changed over the years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I feel like we're subject to the market, right? When it was competitive and there was multiple offers, people were waiving home inspections.
True.
I do feel like it's stayed pretty steady, though. But, we do start having conversations about if AI will change our business. I don't think we're quite there yet. I do think there's a lot of AI tools that even we can utilize ourselves you know, to identify particular issues. But really, it's pretty hard to have an AI bot traverse a crawl space or an attic or a roof.
Yeah.
So we've definitely evolved with technology. We utilize drones and infrared cameras and sewer scope cameras and all the cool things. But at the same time, like you can't really replace, the human being poking around doing all the things.
Recently, and I did. I don't do much AI, but I've started doing some as a 50-year-old, and I noticed that some of my clients will look at the report and they'll put information in AI because I'll do the same thing. I'll be like, okay, what are they looking at? So it's interesting. It can definitely educate you, AI, if you come back with your report and you don't know if what type of insulation, whether it's spray or rolled, can be encapsulated. So it's a good tool to use, but it's not going to do your home inspection for you.
Well, you brought up like heating systems, for example. We see some crazy things, outdated. No, not outdated, because they could work better than your current HVAC. But like I said, the oil furnaces and stuff. So I did see an agent one time that used AI to identify these components. Again, just as preliminary information, right? You don't want to ever replace the actual home inspection.
Right.
But hey, why not educate yourself and see what you can find out? Maybe pre-offer, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, is this something I'm willing to kind of live with? Cool, I am. So let's put in the offer.
I've always sold houses where not expecting anything. It's kind of like, you're going to laugh when I compare it. It's kind of like giving birth, though. You don't know what to expect.
Fair.
You'd like to be able to say, hey, this is what's going to happen. It's the same thing with selling or purchasing a house. You don't know what you're going to find. And so I do think that it's good to have a home inspection so you at least have an idea, especially when it comes to structural components, because so many people love to pull that card. Anyway, well, tell us how folks can reach Allied Home Inspection.
Yeah, so we have a website, so alliedinspector.com, 2 words, pretty simple, and really full transparency. We have all our pricing on there, Google reviews, etc. We're also big on social media.
Yeah, she's great on social media, y'all. She's really
It's very
good.
entertaining. You can see the snakes and all the other, and the deer in the crawl space. And that's Allied Home Inspector on Instagram. But really, if you search Allied Home Inspection on any of the platforms, we're there. And we love people to follow us there because, like I said, it's pretty entertaining, but you're also getting important information at the same time. So seeing a deer in a crawl space, maybe you didn't realize deer could even get in your crawl space.
Yeah.
So educating yourself about field finds kind of in real time is always fun. And then you can get to know us on social media as well.
Which is great. And you probably have an entire list of folks as well that if homeowners need some type of service done, I'm sure you have folks in your pocket. And it's important. People want to know what the value is of their home, and they want to know what the shape is of it.
Yeah. Well, like you said, and I think we've kind of painted a little bit of a picture that it can be complicated and daunting and unforeseen. But really, if you have real estate professionals like yourself, right, you hire a realtor for their team and their assets, right? If they don't know the question, they're going to have the home inspector. If the home inspector doesn't know exactly, I have contractors or vendors that I can refer to as well. So just arming yourself with this team to embark on the unknown, right? We have a due diligence period for a reason. You get an opportunity to explore your home and the process and everything. So doing that with professionals you can trust is really important.
It is. And a lot of people don't know how to do that, and that's why they use home inspectors and realtors. Some people do, which is fine. And sometimes I forget because we're in that lingo of how it works. And so it's so good to be able to explain the process to folks that want to buy a house, sell a house, or really just want to know the condition of their house.
100%. But you did say something that jogged my mind. And, I think I hear a lot, oh, but I'm a contractor. Oh, I renovate houses. I flip houses, whatever it may be. Please always hire a home inspector. I actually hire one myself. So if we ever sell a property, I'll hire an independent third-party inspector, a friend that I know in the business.
Yeah.
Just because it's emotional, right? Buying or selling is emotional, and you can be blinded by, falling in love with the property or whatever it may be.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. There's
even
nothing.
when we have it inspected. So we use inspectors from our team, but I'll always send somebody else from our team to go look at it because, I want somebody to go through it with a fine-tooth comb because, if you're looking at a house to buy and you're on a showing and you're walking around and seeing all the beautiful things, but are you flipping every light switch? Are you testing every outlet? Are you running every plumbing fixture? It's such an exhaustive process that we go through. So, yeah.
I just like falling in love with what it looks like.
Right? Which is great. But then, like you said, the due diligence exists for a reason. So that's awesome and lovely because I want you to love that home for years to come. But let's make sure it's in good shape.
Yeah, for sure. Well, is there any promotion, tips, or events coming up? Because I know you have so many that you'd like to share on the radio today.
Yeah, a lot of our events are more so geared to real estate professionals. One of my favorites is coming up on Mother's Day. We do a panel, so it's actually the day after Mother's Day, but educating kind of real estate professionals on how they can navigate the real estate market as parents. So that one's really cool. But
where's that?
That one is going to be at Devil's Foot Brewing. But again, I always share everything on our social media. And on our Instagram or any page, we have a link tree, which has all of our updated current events. And then most of my events are recorded and posted to our YouTube. So feel free to check us out there. Yeah, as long as you follow me on social media, that's all you need to know.
And it's worth it, y'all. She really has some great posts and some funny ones too. So here I am, old-fashioned radio.
I love all of it, right? We'll meet you where you're at. I always tell people with the reports and our customer service, if it's text message or email or carrier pigeon, whatever you need, we'll meet you where you're at.
I love it. I love it. Well, is anything else you want to share before I ask you about the closing question?
I don't think so. You did an excellent job. Great questions.
Oh, thanks. I love having you on here. And we, again, are revealing the heart and soul of our community. So thank you so much for being part of this community and really getting out and connecting people. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Well, the closing question is we ask our guests to share one thing with the audience that has changed their life for the better.
One thing.
or something you do on a daily basis that has changed your life?
Oh, daily basis? I had kids.
That's good enough.
Those little tiny humans. But another thing that comes to mind, just really kind of spur of the moment, is like kind of charitable efforts. My dad was a very charitable guy. And anything we did was always trying to give back, or he's always the guy who, gave money to someone on the street corner, or even on a larger scale in construction, he raised money. And you talked about the storm. It was a hard time for all of us in Western North Carolina, but we really had to pivot as home inspectors. We started doing post-storm evaluations, and then we also raised money. We ended up raising over $30,000.
Oh, wow.
To provide free services to people in need. So that was a lot of water testing. That's a lot of well inspections. Yeah, I think we served almost 100 families during that time.
Wow.
So again, really just trying to carry my dad's spirit of like charitable efforts.
I love
things
that.
I do.
We have to do this together. And I've interviewed a lot of folks about the storm, and I talk about learning to receive and also learning to give. We all have different attributes. I don't really like to receive that much, but we have to learn, both ways. A lot of folks needed a lot, and it was hard for people to ask for.
Yeah.
And this community really showed up for each other.
Yeah. But so like to your point though, is like, I feel like we all also found ways to give back and stay in our lane. Yeah. Right. We were home inspectors, we're able-bodied, and sure, we could donate our time anywhere. But really I was like, well, no, how can we best use our time? We can do water quality testing. We can do well inspections. So it's like, let's try and stay in that lane and see how we can serve people. Yeah. So I think that was kind of the attitude. Like you said, everyone in Western North Carolina showed up in the best way they knew how.
They did.
Which was so cool.
It was. Yeah. We are all better for it, even though I know there's still some people really having a hard time, but here to lift you up and sing your praises. So, well, thank you, Kimi, so much for coming on the Mountain Magnolia Radio Show. It was a pleasure. And guys, I will post all of her information on the Mountain Magnolia Radio Show Facebook page. And also just a reminder that you can search Mountain Magnolia Radio Show, and you can find us on every single platform, Spotify, Apple, all the platforms you can imagine. And you can listen to our episode on Wednesday at 7 p.m. or Saturday at 10 a.m. on 96.1 Bigfoot. And I just want to thank Cameron. Cameron is with me every time I do this show. Thank you, Cameron. You are so patient, such a kind soul. So I really appreciate all that you do. He is amazing. He can make things happen really fast.
He's nodding humbly over there for those who can't see the visual cues.
This time we're on video. So
there you go. Okay, there you go.
Well, guys, thank you for listening to the Mountain Magnolia Show. And again, a big shout out to Bigfoot. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us for Mountain Magnolias with your hosts, Mary Noble Braden and Leanne Lewis. Join us next time for more interesting stories from the Swannanoa's most interesting people as we give you something to talk about. Mountain Magnolias is a production of Noble & Company Realty in Black Mountain. For more information, please call them at 828-357-5243. 828-357-5243.
The preceding has been a production of Signal Hill Studios. For more information, please call 704-872-0550.